tonight I'm going to welcome one of my friends, Kim McLean. Welcome, Kim.
Hello there. How are you?
I think we're in the same shape, actually. Very good. All right. Well, Kim is actually, he's a longtime lead with the lifestyle, and he actually used to be a former mentor here as well. So that's how we met long before we both became mentors, and he's kind of gone on from there. But I do appreciate you coming back and sharing. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okie doke. Well, I joined in 2006. I have a degree in geology, which lends itself just perfectly to real estate, as you might imagine. And I worked as an exploration geologist for a while, then the oil business. I got tired of that roller coaster. Got into the environmental business, which moved me to Houston. And then I joined Lifestyles, like I said, in 2006 after listening to Dell on the radio. And in 2007, we bought our first multifamily property as IROs, independent owners, and that retired my wife. She was traveling all over the country doing her job, and we got tired of that. We were both traveling quite a bit, and so she retired. And then in 2009, I bought my first syndicated property. In other words, I got investors and bought a property, and that retired me from corporate America. So David says, what, 3 to 5 years or whatever, we actually retired, both of us, in 3 years. So, and then I became a mentor. Dell came to me and asked if I would be willing to be a mentor. And I remembered back on the 2-day when he said, I'll get you rich if you come back and help other people get rich. And so I said, of course I'd do it. So I did that. In March of 2020, I retired from that to focus more on traveling. Imagine that, good timing, huh? And so I retired, and then you know, been hanging around the house ever since.
We actually did travel. We actually went to
we went to Tahoe with all the smoke.
Yep, we went to Tahoe, and during the forest fires, we really enjoyed it. It was great.
Somebody was trying to tell us something.
Exactly. So why did you join Lifestyles originally? If you can remember back then.
Way back when I was not going anywhere toward retirement. I had just paltry amount of money in the IRA and the SEP and the Roth. And like I said, I was tired of traveling for work. Most of my work, I was traveling all over the country, and that was a lot of fun at first. And then most of the work transferred down to Mexico. And I didn't mind going to Mexico. I love Mexico, but it was kind of getting a little sketchy with the drug lords and all that other stuff. So I wanted to get away from that. And plus, I hated what I was doing. When I was doing environmental work, all I was doing was trying to keep myself and my client from getting sued. And that's a very stressful job to do. So I was glad to get out of that.
Very good.
Okay, we're talking about Queens Lane Apartments. That was the third property that I purchased. It was a very interesting story. The way I bought it, I had the first property I bought as an IRO. We had townhomes, and we were unable to raise the rent on the townhomes. Every time we'd raise the rent, people would go down the street to Queens Lane because they had townhomes also, and their rents were way lower than ours. And so I went over there and shopped it and realized that there was no way I was going to talk them into raising the rents because their manager was lazy. It was a California owner. And so I decided the best way to remedy that situation is to buy the property. And so I got one of the real estate agents to track down the owner and made him a lowball offer, which really pissed him off. And so he didn't want to talk to me. So I went and got another agent, and so he wouldn't know it was me again, and made a more reasonable offer. And it kind of started from there. And so we ended up buying the property. That was in 2014. We paid $28,909 a door. Wish we could do that now, but you know, with the good comes the bad. Yeah. We don't want to sell one for that.
Right. Just so people understand, okay, Pasadena, Texas is like a little suburb right outside of Houston. It's actually where Gillies was. What was that movie that they had? Gillies.
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy was filmed. Pasadena, Texas. For those of you who are from Houston. Now, Kim did buy this in 2014, and one of the main reasons why I really wanted to do the case study tonight is we look, Lifestyle says buy and hold, fix up, hold, refinance. This is going to go through the gamut. So you're going to see all of this exactly what Kim did, but he actually still owns the property. And actually in Pasadena, we looked at some properties like last month, right, in Pasadena, and it was going for what per door, Kim? Do you remember?
Between 70 and 75,000 a door.
Between $70,000 and $75,000 a door, and that's in 6 or 7 years. So when we say buy real estate and hold, you're going to see how much money that he made and how much money this cash flowed and how much we pulled out. But the equity just keeps going up and up and up and to the right. I tell everybody that real estate values go up and to the right. Now, there may be some sags along the way, but up and to the right, it's been a great run. It's going to continue to run. I remember one of the first properties I bought was in Pasadena, and we were all in for like $24,000 a door for, I think it was about a year before this one. So yeah, it's crazy what it does. So when we're going through this project tonight, understand that he started back in 2014 to buy this property. But as one of my friends actually told me during the last case study, the two best times to plant a tree is 10 years ago and today, right? You have to start today. So whatever the prices are today, get in the game, buy the real estate, and this is some stuff that can actually truly happen. So, okay, cool. All right, so you bought it for $22.5 million. Which I'm with you. If we could find 88 units for anything like that now, that would be great.
Yeah. So I remember you and I having a discussion about how, we thought 28 a door was on the high end. And if anyone had told us 6 years from then that they'd be in the 70s, we would have told them they were nuts.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, but yeah, Lee's right. It just keeps going up and up and up. The beauty of Pasadena is it's fully developed. There's no place to build new properties. The only way you can build a new property is buy an old one, tear it down, and build on that space. So I love that. So anyway, so our initial financing, we borrowed 1.9 million. We got an interest rate of 4.92, which at the time we thought was a steal, and now it's a little bit higher than that. After 2 years of raising rents, increasing the NOI, we were able to do a supplemental loan of 1.8 million. We got just a little bit higher interest rate, and we were able to pull out $1.8 million.
Okay, hold on. You're going too fast. Lee, what am I about to say?
What?
What am I about to say? What do I always bring up? Because you just said we put down $1 million to buy this property.
Yep.
The guy out there with 50K says, well, that's for millionaires. He just walked out of the room. Could you explain how you don't need $1 million to do this?
Yeah. So in this particular deal, he has partners, right? You had partners in this deal. So that cash out of pocket, that $1 million that you raised was not all you, right?
Correct. I have 10 partners in this deal.
Okay. So let's just assume everybody came in with 100,000, but in all reality, I think some people had 250, and you probably let some in for 50,000.
Yeah,
or something
because
like that.
I put in 400,000 on my own.
Okay, so there you go. So he's got partners that we have passives come in. So the same person that invested 50,000 in your deal is going to make just as much on his 50,000 as you're going to make on your 50,000. It's equal. So you don't have to have millions of dollars to do it. You can have 50,000 or 100,000 or whatever it is and invest passively. So very good. So I just want people to understand, when you went through the financing, you borrowed 1.9 million of the 2.5. There was another million, so it was like a total of $2.9 million that went into this deal. And then after 2 years, you refinanced it and you pulled out an additional $1.8 million, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we will get into David will get into exactly how you create value, that you're able to do that in the 2-day. But basically, they invested $1 million, and 2 years later, they pulled out $1.8 million of that deal. So if my calculations are correct, that's an infinite amount of returns, or I don't know. And David, you got some kind of terminology that you call that too, right?
Let's see if Kim remembers it back when we used to work together, back in the days when, there were fossils around. If you make over 100% return, what's the technical term for that, Kim? Do you remember?
Peeing your pants exciting.
There you go. I just want to make sure you still remember that. Now, folks, he just wrecked my whole speech, because my speech was, I want to double my money every 2 years, and he made over 180% return in 2 years, and they still own the deal, and there's still meat on the bone, correct?
Absolutely.
And you see how excited he's getting about making over 100% return? He's like jumping up and down inside. I think the tiger's moving behind you more than you are. But, I just wanted people to understand how awesome it is. Go ahead, Lee.
And the reason why he was able to do this in the first place is because he invested. I mean, you've got to do it in order to make these kind of returns. Now, I know that every single one of Kim's portfolio properties has not made these returns yet. So the more you buy, the more chances you have of making these nice returns. So I mean, you just got to get in the game. So kudos. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. You had capital repairs. Initially, you went in and fixed it up, put $280,000 in initial rehab, and then you pulled out 1.8 million, and you held back another 90,000 for a new paint job or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, we tried this. I don't know what they want to call it, but it was a baby blue color. And when I found out about a year later that it was known as the Smurf apartments, I said, no, we gotta repaint this and get rid of that. And we had some other things that we weren't able to do during the first rehab, and we went ahead and knocked all those things out too.
Very good. Awesome. All right, so tell us what's the property currently doing?
So it's amazing. We had a great year in spite of the coronavirus. You see there the income, the NOI, the monthly cash flow is just under $20,000 a month. As you both mentioned, the cash on cash return is infinite because my investors have got all of their money back. And so they don't have any money in the deal. It's free money to them every time I send them a distribution check. And to date, we've distributed $2.872 million. That includes the cash out refi. The property now is currently worth $6.731 million.
That's amazing. And that's in 6 years. And we bought it for 2.4?
2.4, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And that's simply a buy, hold, buy, refinance, buy, do the things that David's going to be teaching you in the 2-day. It's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
Slide.
Wow, you make like a 400 or 500% return. He gives you a golf clap.
Okay. Somebody's backing up.
That must be Lee. I don't know who. Oh wait, maybe the trucker's still on. Let me make sure his microphone's on.
Is that our truck in Hawaii backing up?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that was.
I'll mute him. That was funny. Hey, he blew his horn. I don't know what the hell you're gonna do.
Oh, here, I got something for you, David.
I don't know. Kiss. Oh. What does "kiss my Democrat" mean? I don't know. So here's some pictures before and afters.
Okay, yeah, this before and after. Now, I have to admit the colors look very similar. This on the left, the before was kind of a greenish color, and the paint job really wasn't all that bad. They had just painted the property. They were under this mistaken notion that you sell an apartment just like you do a house. You fix it up and make it look nice, and therefore you can sell it and get more money for it. When in fact the opposite is actually true, and you'll find that out later on. Possibly David will talk about that. But anyway, so the paint job wasn't all that bad. And this on the right, the after, that's the second paint job. I didn't want to include one of the Smurf colors because it looks so bad. But that's our monument sign on the right. They had an old crappy wooden sign that was fading and looked terrible. And you can't tell it in this picture, but this is a major road through Pasadena. This is Alan Genoa. It's a 4-lane road. At one time I knew the statistics, but it's like 20,000 cars a day go by here. So to me, it made sense to spend a lot more money on the sign, because that's your advertising right there. It's just the people drive by and they see a nice monument sign right there. And by the way, I stole that design from Curtis on one of his properties in the Galleria area.
Very nice. And I'm sure he's perfectly happy with that.
Yes, absolutely. This is our swimming pool. Unfortunately, I didn't have the same angle on the after picture. You can't really see it that well, but we put a pergola on there. I went out there with my wife and planted those palm trees right after we bought it. And now they're huge and they look really nice. And so, and let's see, you can see that we have purple doors. That was my manager picked those colors because she knows I love purple and gold. Okay.
Where you going? Go back.
Okay, so you see that on the left, this is where there were 2 other buildings on the property that burned down about 12 to 14 years before we bought the property. And the previous owner just scraped them and left this big old concrete slab. And part of my thinking when I bought the property was we need to put something on there. And the thing that kept coming up was the self-storage. So we built this brand new nice self-storage facility from some of the money that we got back on the rehab. In other words, I sent the investors back, let's just call it 150% of their initial investment. And then they turned around and sent me back a total of $460,000. And we built this. So we don't have any money in the deal still, even after we built this 16,000 square foot self-storage facility, which is climate controlled and non-climate control. And so that's throwing off just under $100,000 a year in cash flow. There's no mortgage on it. I did want to mention, I get several people that ask me about self-storage. It doesn't always make sense to build self-storage on a property. The most expensive part of this building is that concrete you see on the left. And since we already had the foundation, it saved us a lot of money on building this. And that's why our returns are so good. But in some cases, it makes a lot of sense.
Now, when you first bought this and you saw that slab there, was this, you didn't go into it thinking, I'm gonna do self-storage, right? It was just kind of an opportunity that presented itself after the fact.
It was just a way of producing other income. And after doing it, I discovered that I didn't like the self-storage business. It's not very exciting. There's hardly any depreciation, so there are no tax advantages in it. And so anything, I've had a lot of people bring me these prospectus and say, oh, I get a 20% cash on cash. Yeah, but that's, there are going to be taxes on that. So depending on what your tax bracket is, it's a lot lower. So don't think that self-storage is an easier version of multifamily. It's not.
Right. But in this, it was a unique situation. You had burned down buildings. That's why it's a little bit outside the box. It made sense. Otherwise, it's just a waste in space. But so you guys, it cost you about $400K to do it. I'm just rounding numbers. And you're making $100K a year, which is about 25% just on that aspect. So it's a win-win all the way around in that case.
Correct. And right now it's worth about $1.8 million.
So I guess,
just the self-storage.
You're pretty good at this. You should probably teach other people.
Yeah. Been there, done that, got the shirt.
I know. You failed at retirement twice. You came back.
Exactly.
All right, let's see the value of this. So David is going to go at this weekend in a 2-day, but basically the way that you value a multifamily property is based on the NOI, the net operating income, which is income minus your operating expenses, gives you NOI. That is what determines the value of your property. Not what loan you can get on it, not what your tax valuation is. The value is based on your NOI. So let's go through our NOI, what you had in 2014, your very first year you bought it. Okay. So we'll just run through this real quick, but go ahead.
Yeah. You can read the numbers just like I can, but the main thing, like they mentioned, is the NOI, and you can see 314,000. And when you raise that NOI, that's what raises the value of the property. And you can see after 6 years, we had raised it to 471,000. Next year, we project 542,000 as our NOI. Our mortgage pretty much stays the same. You can see a jump from 2014 to 2020. The first 2014 just includes that first mortgage. After that, it includes that second mortgage. You can see the net cash flow. You can also see the first year when we still had money in the deal, it produced a cash on cash return about a little over 12%. And after that, when they got all their money back, it's an infinite return.
And just
And
so
what I want
folks,
people to understand.
another thing, if you're new, all this cash flow coming out, if done correctly through something called depreciation, which I'll teach you this weekend, this is all tax-free income. But when you get a dividend out of your stock portfolio, you're paying taxes on it. Because of something called depreciation, there's no taxes. That's peeing your pants exciting as well.
Right. And I want everybody to understand, and Dave's going to go over this weekend too, the income increasing, right? You're raising rents throughout the year. You're keeping occupancy high throughout the year. Going from 712,000 in revenue up to over $1 million in revenue, that is where the cream is. That's
right.
What makes and breaks an apartment complex in a community is revenue. I don't care what the expenses are. The expenses are going to be what they're going to be. The revenue is what matters. And it actually took both Kim and another friend of mine to kick me in the ass when I first started to figure that out. Because I'm an accountant, and I was like, okay, well, we can save here, we can save here, we can save here. And they're like, no, it's about leasing. It's about, you can never get that back.
Expenses. Yep, exactly.
It's amazing. So again, we all learn from each other, and you just got to do what they tell you to do, and it takes care of itself. So kudos. So next year you're anticipating making another 300 grand, and that's just gravy because you've already gotten everything out of that property.
And this is just one property Kim has. Kim, in your whole portfolio that you're managing, how many properties do you have right now that you're working on?
I own 6. I have 1 under contract closing in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so 7 different ones, 7 different streams of income, and it adds up. It's pretty good. That's why he can send me.
He's passive in some deals as well, so he's got that as well.
Yeah. I'm invested in probably somewhere around 2,500 units right now.
Yeah. He gets excited when he sees all that. This COVID excitement. So here's where it says, remember guys, their initial investment was around $1 million. And now if he sold it, the equity alone is about 5 million, correct?
Correct.
And even people that went to LSU could probably do the math. 1 million to 5 million is pretty good. Is that how you write on the test? Pretty good.
Yeah. Now this is just the equity from the apartment complex. Like I said, the self-storage.
Not even including the storage, which is another
doesn't even include the storage, which will sell with the apartment complex. Right. Because we learned that when you build on property that's tied to the debt of Fannie Mae, they don't like you to split that off and sell it anywhere else.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Some sort of golden nugget. Cool.
And again, David, you're going to go over the property valuation side of this in the 2-day as far as how you value your property. It's based on the NOI, times the cap rate. Cap rate gives you your current property value. So just understand that bought in 2014, refinance, did what you need to do, continue to increase the property, the value, continue to increase revenues, continue to increase NOI. The value of your property is going up over time. So again, you purchased it for 2.5 million and now it's worth over 7. That's crazy.
So let me do it in simple English for the new people that didn't understand the words, which Lee did a great job and made it pretty simple, but let me simplify it earlier, even easier. I mean, for people like me with a high school diploma that got F's in English, right? Maybe a guy from LSU. Think about it this way, guys. You invest $1 million, 2 years in, you got back 1.8 million. I mean, you can all understand that. Fast forward today, if they sell it, they have 5 million plus this extra money from his other storage thing. You're not making those type of returns in the stock market, okay? All the cash that comes, like when he handed that 1.8 million back to his investors, there was no taxes. Why? It's not a sale. It's a refinance. The bank gave them the money, and so go blow it on whatever you want, hookers and blow, whatever, it doesn't matter. there's no taxes involved. That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. Keeping it simple, okay? I'll teach you all the minutia this weekend, but from a stock point of view, you put in 100 grand, you got back 180 grand, you're still making money all the time, and in the end, you'll turn that into 500 grand. Simple English.
Awesome.
So
So
when
Kim,
when I did the refi, I actually got $700,000 back, and I spent $500,000 on hookers and blow, and then I wasted the rest.
There you go. And I'm sure Julie was happy with that one. Okay.
Kim, how'd you achieve this?
Okay, recognized an opportunity. Like I said, we were unable to raise our rents on our townhomes because the property down the street also had townhomes. It was extremely poorly managed. And so we recognized that opportunity, plus the fact that it was on a busy street and it didn't look all that great. It didn't look terrible, but it didn't look all that great. So we just improved the curb appeal and tweaked the management and really made it a cash machine. We fixed everything during the rehab. We replaced the roofs. We replaced most of the air conditioners. Just fixed everything so that we weren't burdened by fixing stuff. And you know, people like when everything on the property works when you look to move in there. And then we pushed the rents. It was pretty funny. I interviewed the manager of the property before she knew that I was the one buying it. And I asked her some questions like, who's your competition? And she named my property. And she said, but it's not really competition because they're all bills paid. We were not all bills paid. She didn't even know who her competition was or what their rents were. So that's when we knew, yeah, this manager's horrible. We can do a much better job.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, so how's lifestyles changed your life?
Well, as some of the vacations we've gone on, that one down in the middle on the bottom is our house we built here out in the hill country. And we like to call that our dream house. And we just, when we travel now, we travel for fun. We don't have to travel for work.
Yeah. Awesome.
And even though you got flooded and your boat dock was underwater, everything is okay, correct?
Yeah, as you can tell, my house is like 30 feet above the water, so water didn't get anywhere near us.
I remember when you were going through that.
Those are real world problems, David, when your boat dock floods.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. It's like problems we all wish we had living in our.
Oh, my boat got smashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your goals going forward?
Close on my next property. That's the first thing on my mind. Never thought I'd have COVID and try and close on a deal at the same time. This will make for a great case study down the road.
Well, Kim, I love the fact that, and Lee, you have it too, correct?
Yeah.
Do what?
You both have COVID. So
Yes.
even during COVID, with COVID, just like Trump, I guess they're getting through it. Millionaires get those expensive drugs, but you guys still are giving back, and I really appreciate that. Now, the other guy honked his horn. If one of you would just die on my case study, that would be like awesome. I mean, you could top that one, right? Joking.
David.
Don't we?
David.
I love these guys like brothers. Come on. Okay.
So David, I want to go back one slide.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I just want to point out there too, I know we don't really do this anymore, but at the beginning of every year, we used to do a goal setting workshop. And I don't know why we don't do that anymore, but I'm a big proponent on goals and writing those goals down, because you will be surprised what you will actually achieve if you just write them down at the beginning of the year, have them posted by your computer. So I encourage everybody out there, if you just write down 3 goals that you want to accomplish this year, and make them goals that you wouldn't normally think you can obtain. And you guys, it's amazing what's going to happen. Because all these things that we did, a lot of these guys they're very goal oriented as well. And if you write down your goals, and I know they can put in their short-term goals and long-term goals, but if you actually have those, if you have like a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, and a 10-year goal, you will be surprised when your 5-year hits what you've achieved. So that's just my view.
Yeah, no,
well, I was gonna put that in, but in 10 years, my goal is to wake up.
I thought, his 2016 goal was really good. pull out 500K for hookers and blow. That was pretty neat.
Exactly.
You know, the people are loving that on Facebook right now. There's a Facebook chat, and all the pigs are talking about hookers and blow. It's a new LLC name.
I'm surprised you don't already have that one, David.
You know, Kim actually named one of my LLCs for one of my apartments Turkey Pot Pie, and my wife actually used that one.
Kim, who's on your team?
Well, obviously Dell, when I joined, Dell was doing the 2-day, he was doing the mentoring, he was doing all that stuff. And yeah, I would have never done any of this without Dell. And our investors who invested with me on our properties made this possible. The T&L members, for those of you who don't know about them, these are us old guys that all started around the same time, around 2006, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. And we get together and talk about stuff. In the early days, none of us knew what we were doing. And so we kind of depended on Emory. Emory would, go out and research everything and then come back and tell us, and we would copy it all. And so it just kind of kept going from there. And it's been a tremendous help. All the people that are involved in T&L are just great, and love them to death. LMI, I've used them on almost all of my deals for my mortgages, the mortgages. Better World, for some reason, Better World's logo didn't come through on this slide. I don't know why, but anyway, they're my property management company. I managed my properties myself for 10 years. And then when my wife and I decided that we wanted to move out to the hill country and build our dream home, we needed someone with some boots on the ground to help out. And so we hired Better World, and they've been managing our properties for going on 3 years now. That's Christine Diamond. She was the operations manager when I bought most of my properties. She helped me out tremendously. And Steve Newsom, the attorney, has helped me out on all of my deals. I use Steve for everyone.
And one thing that I want to bring up that Kim brought up that's very important, and from you guys from the outside looking in for the first time, he said Emory brought this stuff and we all copied him. Lifestyles is the only close-knit community where if you own a Sunoco station here and this guy owns an Exxon, do you think they open their books and share everything with each other? That's the abundance mentality of Lifestyles. It's one of the most powerful things where Kim will say, here's what I pay for my leasing agent, here's what I pay my, they'll share all that information with each other. And I think that's one of the most powerful things.
Absolutely.
We really do. It's amazing because any property I'm buying, Kim's coming out to help and to just take a look. Anytime that he looks at something, he'll send it to me or somebody else and we'll take a look. I mean, we're still, even though we're both kind of mentors and we're both, people think we know everything, which we tell everybody we don't, right? We're still constantly trying to improve and constantly trying to get help from others. So, even the people at the top are still learning, and that's huge.
Yeah, it's about learning from success, not failure. That's dumb. Just replicate success, and that's why we all pull off each other. That's why we get such good returns, how we mitigate our risk. You ready for some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Nothing about COVID. No, I'm joking, guys. You can ask about COVID.
I'll tell you more than you want to know.
He doesn't have a sense of taste anymore. I don't know what's his problem.
All right. Hey, Kim. So how long are you holding the property for now? And was it part of your original plan to hold it for this long?
It was not. The thing is, when the economy turned around in, 2010, 2011, rents were going through the roof. And our plan was just to hold it for 3 years, but the rents just kept going up and up and up, and we kept generating all this revenue. And so we elected to keep it a little bit longer. Now, something you'll learn when you buy an apartment complex is you kind of need to make decisions on when you're going to divest a property, because it's going to, the mortgage is going to have a lot to do with that. And you'll learn more about that as you go along. But you can't just up one day and say, I'm going to sell this property. It doesn't make sense because there's some prepayment penalties involved and things like that.
So was rebuilding the burned down apartment out of the question instead of the self-storage?
Yes, I'm not in the construction business. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anybody. There is one member in Lifestyles now that built apartment complexes, but when I was doing this, there was nobody that knew anything about it. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. In fact, I didn't build the self-storage myself. I hired a consultant who used to be a VP with U-Haul out of Dallas to come down and help me. and he acted as the GC for me on the construction. Now, throwing up a self-storage is a whole lot different than building something people are going to live in.
You also have to understand that this is a 1970s property. It's a Class C plus type area, Class C plus units. You can't drop a Class A apartment complex right next door to it. I mean, the values are probably not going to be.
I'm going to teach you about that, the reason why we don't do that. Build it, they will come doesn't work for us, okay? We're doing workforce housing, middle class, building it all brand new like that, price per square foot to build that way, bring it up to current code, is cost prohibitive to get the rents that we would need to generate that off that property.
Gotcha. So whenever I get, this is one, I'll ask this kind of in two ways because it's kind of a little more of a conceptual question, but also applies to yours. When the investment has been fully realized, do the passives still use depreciation to offset their income after getting all of their principal back? And also the other part is, depreciation, you may want to mention, Kim, like your depreciation, how it resets each time you've done, your rehab and refinance and that kind of stuff.
Those are good CPA questions. I'm not going to even attempt to answer them right now.
Yeah, guys, that's in the weeds. Remember, this is for new folks tonight learning stuff, but depreciation, yes, you can add other improvements and you can depreciate them as well, but it should be, if done correctly, we still have depreciation against it. If you do a refinance, that's not a taxable situation. So, you do want to talk to your CPA. Every situation is different. Everybody's amount of depreciation can take, if they can take or they can't take excess depreciation, depends on them as an individual. So, and I will cover this in a seminar, but not down to the minutia level. We can do a 2-hour class on that, in other words.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a one sentence.
I'm trying to find some ones that aren't like deep in the weeds here.
Guys, I know all you preferred investors that are in 200 deals when I ask, but remember, what is tonight? It's a celebration for the new people. Can I do this? What kind of returns can I make? It's not, what is the cap rate and an encyclical return, under a Biden administration? That's not tonight, guys. Let's focus on the new people asking questions so they can get involved, step up, and take a chance at this, okay?
Yeah, here's a good philosophical one. How important is the location when you're choosing your multifamily location versus other criteria?
Great.
That's the old saying, location, location, location. It's very important. The first property I bought was tucked away back on a little street, and Lee's was too. It was hard to see. And when things were good, we had no problem keeping the occupancy. But in 2009 and 10, when the economy took a dive, we had trouble driving people to our properties. And I don't know how many times we heard, I didn't even know this property was back here, and I grew up in Pasadena. So, but when I bought this one, Queens Lane, like I mentioned earlier on Allen Genoa, high traffic area, people know it's there, and it makes a huge difference, especially in your advertising.
Yeah, and I explained that in a seminar about lot size and location. It's not just a Class C area. What is your frontage road? What is easier for how many cars drive by a day? Those are factors. If yours is 2 miles back in a cul-de-sac, no one knows about it. Like he said, absolutely a factor, guys. And I break that down when I teach about cap rates.
And here's one. I don't know if you remember this or not, Kim, but when you first bought the property, what was your personal money in the deal?
My personal money, I believe I put in $300,000 or $400,000. I'd have to go back and look, but it's somewhere around there. Yeah.
And also, I remember we took a tour of this on our master's tour, correct? Wasn't this one?
Yes. Yeah, we sure did.
You had a mascot. Was it a shark? What was that mascot? Or a mermaid? Or what was this?
I think it was a T-Rex.
No, it was not a T-Rex. You had some mascot. Somebody dressed up at your storage facility. Maybe it was a T-Rex. I don't remember. No, I thought it was like
or something. Yeah, I think she was a dinosaur.
David, you were thinking of the hookers and the blow. That was just
that one. See, we're making real estate fun again. Any more, Jacob?
Let's see here. Here's a good lifestyle one, Kim. What's the biggest difference in managing your own property versus having a property manager do it for you now?
Oh, great question. Great question. When I was a mentor, I would always tell new pigs or new members to they ought to manage the property, their first property themselves, because that's the best way to learn how to operate successfully in this business if you're running it yourself. If you buy a property and you don't know the business and you hire a management company, you don't know if they're screwing you or not. They could tell you stuff that may not be true and you don't know the difference. So you really want to manage it yourself. And, look, we did crazy stuff when we bought our first property. It was just my wife and I, and we were out there in August with our little signs directing traffic to the property. We were planting flowers around the big sign out front. We've done all kind of stuff on that. Now, I go by and check on the properties just because I like the managers and all that and see how things are, but we don't do anything on the properties.
But I'm wholeheartedly with Kim. If you're buying your first property or two, you need to manage it yourself, because we've had a couple of individuals in Houston that have done that. They've just gone and they've hired a third party and they have no clue how to manage a third party because they have no idea what that third party is even supposed to be doing. So know the business a little bit when you first buy it. It'll help you in the long run like crazy.
Yep.
Awesome. Kind of a two-part question here. What was the minimum that you allowed in the deal as a passive originally back then? And then what do you look for in a passive investor?
Back then, I believe everyone put in 100. We might have had a couple of them that put in 50. These days, things changed a little bit. Most of my investors are putting in 50,000. What do I look for in a passive? They have to be a member. They have to have the passive certification. I say a member, they have to be a member of Lifestyles. They have to pass the passive certification. And that's kind of it. I mean, I have a lot of things I hope they do. Like, I hope they check their emails on a regular basis. I hope they have a really good scanner. And I hope that they're very responsive when I send them things, because when you're about to close on a property, there's, the day of closing, they call you with, oh, we need this signed by all your investors, And so I also tell my passives that if you're going to be out of the country when I'm closing in X amount of day or whatever, don't get in this deal, because I want to be able to get in touch with you.
Good stuff. All
awesome.
right.
Well, I think we'll stop the questions at that point.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for giving back and inspiring so many people. I really appreciate it.